This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we have a tier list for the Digimon BT8 meta, which is quickly approaching. It should be the pre-release for BT8 today as of this video dropping. And yeah, I wanted to make a tier list video. I normally don't, and sometimes I find they're just too subjective when doing tier lists. And also, I don't want to hinder any kind of creativity, because I know a lot of people say, oh, well, it's not tier 1, so I don't want to build it, but that's not normally the case. And this is more of just a prediction tier list based on what I think is going to do well inherently for BT8. But again, this is a prediction, and I want to just kind of go over the meta in general before we actually kind of jump into it. So the tiers we have are highly competitive, which means that I would expect it to get a top 16 finish for pretty much every event of the season. We have competitive, which will get a good amount of tops in the top. I'd say it's still kind of topping most events. Playable is it will occasionally top, based more on having a good pilot with a good day. We do have fun, which I would be very surprised if they did top, and then we have trash. I don't think I'll put anything in trash, but we did need to have 5 tiers for this tier maker, so there it is. I don't think I'd ever put trash, and in general, I won't bring up a kind of an archetype that I think is trash just to say it's trash on stream. So additionally, these are all the kind of archetypes we have. A lot of them are BT8 new archetypes, as well as a couple from the previous meta, just to get a gauge of how good I think they will adapt to this new meta. And we'll just kind of start with a favorite of mine. We do have the source control. So it is the Metal Garurumon list, and it's just kind of taking care of the idea of you have so many ways to get additional sources underneath your dudes, with DNA digivolving be such a big thing. We also did have like a small amount of support slowly being printed out. That support's being played from sources still, so I think it's an okay deck. We're just going to put everything into trash to start out talking about it, but I think this is a fun list. I'll definitely play with this one a lot, and I have a lot of fun playing with it. But I don't think it is anything near competitive at times. And you can, it really just depends on you finding the perfect line. If you get it, you're unstoppable, but it's very, very tricky to get there sometimes. So fun, maybe playable, but definitely not competitive. But I really do enjoy playing this list. It's super fun. Next up, we're gonna talk about Yellow Hybrid, which kind of like there's a bit of like an overlap here. So we're going to talk about both of them. Since we do have like the kind of more yellow control version of Armor Rush. So mostly just with Rapidmon. Rapidmon gets so much value for what it does, being able to rest things, being able to give something minus 5k and everything. And Yellow Hybrid in general, I think, is in a really good spot still. Jet Sophiemon gets so much value for what it does. A recovery for 1 is great. We do also have Ophanimon you can digivolve into there, which means you also have ways to recover, which means that also you can go into the Zwart Defeat if you need to. I think this is in a really good spot, and Rapidmon kind of is the same way. It's based on having yellow tamers as well, so I don't think actually, it's just tamers now. I don't think it's color restricted. So I'm going to put both of these into competitive, honestly. I think they're very good, and there's overlap in general. Rapidmon is, again, like the more BT8 version of Yellow Hybrid, I would say, but Yellow Hybrid is in a really good spot, and I still expect it to be doing super well in this kind of upcoming meta. Next up, we do have Rubymon. And I think Rubymon it got like a little bit more support. We do have like the yellow one that does kind of support what you're doing and everything. But I still think this is kind of downgraded to a fun deck. It might be playable, but I don't think a lot of people will be playing Cherubi as much. I really do like this deck, and I really do like yellow and purple. But if people are going to be playing yellow and purple, they'll probably be playing Mastermind. But yeah, it did get like another level 6 yellow Cherubi Mega. But I don't think a lot of people would be playing this, and I don't think it's going to be too good. But I would be, if I am wrong on this one, I'd be happy to be wrong on that kind of idea. Next up, we do have the Tommy, and by Tommy I mean Blue Hybrid. I think I'm just putting it right up to competitive. I think Blue Hybrid is still good for what it is. There are decks that don't play your board out as much, and that can be more aggressive than it. But I don't think there's any reason to stop playing Blue Hybrid if you enjoy the deck. I don't think people will be playing it because they've been playing Blue Hybrid for 3 months now, and it's pretty repetitive once you get into it. But if people play BT8 meta for a little bit and they don't find a deck they jive with, I can definitely see them going back to blue hybrid and still being very good with it. I don't think it's going anywhere, which I don't know if it stinks, but it's what it is. Next up, we do have the more traditional armor rush is what I would call this one. This is with the Vmon packages and being able to do the armor control and not control, but just doing armor and go up into all your guys and get all the effects from it. I think it's really good for what it is. I think it's also a very inexpensive deck, and I'm going to put it at playable. I think people will be definitely playing this list, and if there's like a really good player with a really good list, they're going to top with it. But I think it's a little particular with how good you have to get your draws and everything else. So I think it's a playable deck. I think people will definitely be playing it, but I think it gets eked out by a couple other things. And I don't know. I haven't really played against an armor deck yet where I'm like, oh man, I had no chance to win. They just beat me. But most of the time when I'm playing them, I'm playing Mastermind, which I feel has like a better than average matchup against it too. So that could be something that's part of it as well. Next up, we do have Shivaman, which is probably the most, I would say, competitive green deck we've had, like mono green deck we've had in a while, which unfortunately doesn't mean a lot. Green hasn't been doing a lot of things lately. It was really good a year ago with the, Digisorption and going up into your Nidhoggmons, which is, this deck does and everything. But it just doesn't do a lot still. Shivaman, I think, is a fantastic boss monster, though. It does let you like passively do damage to your opponent, and being able to stop your opponent from playing option cards is a huge thing. We don't have that kind of control stuff as we normally do. I think it is a playable archetype. I think people will definitely be playing it, and I think it can win occasionally. I don't think it's highly competitive, and I don't think it's competitive either, but people definitely will be playing this one, and I think it's something that's worth playing into. But I think it's a very uphill battle for this kind of archetype, but it can be done. You just have to work very, very hard for it. Next up, we do have the XAntibody archetype, and I think this XAntibody is going to be highly competitive. They have so many tools. When BT7 came out, it kind of had like half of its tools. It didn't really take off that well, and so they're like, all right, well, we really want this deck to do well. Here's another archetype support worth of cards to help you out. And I don't know, this deck does a lot. It's very explosive at times. It can be very obnoxious, and it can just do a lot of damage out of nowhere. So I think it's in a very good spot. I think people are going to be playing it. I could see this bump down to competitive, but I think highly competitive is what my expectation for it. I think a lot of people are going to be playing it, and I think we'll see a lot of tops with it in the next couple of weeks and events. Next up, we do have the red-black War Greymon effect. We're going to say that this is a competitive archetype. My biggest thing about this is that it has a lot of consistency issues at times. It's kind of unfortunate when it doesn't work out at times too. And I think it's in a somewhat good spot. I think there are ways for it to do well. But sometimes you just brick and you can't really do anything about it. So I think people will definitely be playing that. I think it's a really cool archetype too, and everyone does like War Greymon and just Agumon's package as well. So I think people will be playing it. I think it will get some tops, but I don't know if it's consistently there enough for a highly competitive, but I think it's a good spot for what it is, and people will definitely be trying it. Next up, we do have, this is a little, I think this deck is just fun. With the Rubymon, another yellow-purple deck, and they just have so many yellow-purple decks and ideas and stuff. And Rubymon, we have Mastermind, we have this now, and I think this is fun. I think people will be playing it, and I guess I kind of just put it more on here just so people consider trying it out and see what fun they have. I've had some a lot of fun playing with it, and I think a lot of other people will too. So. Next up, we do have the Myotismon, and I'm going to put this into playable. This is a deck that takes a little bit of setup, and additionally, I guess we're going to put Creepymon in there too, because these can both kind of work together at the same time. But this kind of new just mono purple stuff, I would say, is in a kind of good spot. If you're not playing against something that's very aggressive and you're able to set up and make your set up your trash and everything. I mean, just pretty much what purple has problems with and solutions with all the time, where if your opponent gives you in a couple extra turns, you get enough setup where your opponent can't do anything and you win. But if you don't get there, there's nothing you can do to kind of stop your opponent at times. So I think Myotismon is in a kind of good spot for that. We do have the new tamer with it too, and being able to play stuff for free is very good. And then also the Rubymon. There, if you're playing against a control deck, Rubymon is fantastic. And if we were in a side deck format, I would definitely put Rubymon in any purple deck that could go into it, just for the potential to deck out my opponent if they're playing something that's really, really slow. But I don't think that's going to be happening, so I think Rubymon will not be played that often. But it's a really good tech card, if not its own foundation for an archetype. And I'm just going to put both of them there and playable. I think people will be playing it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be another uphill battle to get there, but you can get there if you are able to work hard enough, have the right list for the event and what you're playing against, and get kind of lucky. Next up, we're going to put Mastermind right up here. Highly competitive. This is by my deck of choice so far in the meta, and it feels very good when it goes off. You have it's like a deck that is already aggressive enough, that already has security control as well. There's so many good hits in your security, whether it be like high power DP of Mastermind, Rubymon, Chaos Mode, also being able to hit a Dead or Alive or Hell Scythe in there too. There's so many good hits for you, and it's just a strong deck and has a lot of options for a lot of things. So I really enjoy playing it. You're going to probably see a lot of Mastermind, and I'd be surprised if it didn't top every event for the format going forward. We do also have the similar Imperial Mon, and I'm going to put this like, can we change yeah, let's do it like this. Oh, we have to like manually do it like that. I think this is the top three for me. So yeah, blue-green is in such a good kind of spot too, being able to see all of your pieces and being able to Jogress, and you're just so aggressive too, being able to go Jogress into a level 5 that pops something on board that has 2 swings and usually has jamming as well if you have the right Vmon underneath it. It just does so much damage. If your opponent doesn't have any options in security, you just win on the spot, and it's very explosive and does a really, really good job at what it does. So I think it's a good deck, especially since if you just buy 2 starter decks, I think you almost have a ready competitive deck with it too. And because of that too, I think a lot of people will be playing this deck, and you're seeing a lot of success with it as well. And then lastly, Lilithmon. I don't know where to put it. It's either competitive or playable. I think I'm going to be a little pessimistic. I'll put it in playable. It's probably competitive. If I could put it in between the two of them, I would, and kind of like an in-between tier. A lot of Lilithmon is a very good deck. You do have to be a very, very good pilot for what you're doing. I don't think it got a lot of tools for what it is, and it really just depends on how beat down and aggressive the format is, because Lilith doesn't have a lot of defense options, and really just depends on getting your combo off when your opponent's still setting up, and once you get there, you win the game. So I think we're going to be a little bit too aggressive for the format to see Lilithmon have a lot of success, but I would be, again, gladly wrong on this one. And I hope I am. I think Lilith can potentially stand again, but we'll see what the format kind of dictates for that. And this is my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know any other archetypes or anything that you guys think should be on this board and I just did not put on there. I think I got the main hitters for it, but you can let me know which ones I forgot. And that's going to be it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck on your BT8 pulls. Make sure to check out my streams for some BT8 pack giveaways, and we'll catch you all next time.